Hello everyone and welcome back to exercise number 47 of the SolidWorks basic tutorial series. In this video, we're going to be designing a flanged elbow. As always, in designing this part within SolidWorks, we're going to be using many of the SolidWorks features, namely the extrude boss base feature and extrude cut feature, but also in creating this main elbow here, the main body of the component, we're going to be using the swept boss base tool. Here we see the schematic drawing for exercise number 47. All dimensions are in millimeters. If we zoom in closely here, we see that the unit system is set to millimeters, grams, and seconds. So that is the unit system that we're going to be using. We have the isometric view, the trimetric view. We have also the top view, the left view, the side view here, and the section view. And this section view was taken along this horizontal line. Additionally, we also have detail views showcasing the mounting holes for this circular flange here, and the top square flange at the top here. And with all the dimensions, of course, given for easy implementation within SolidWorks. All right, so it's always a good idea before we actually start the modeling process is to stop and think through very carefully how we're going to model this within SolidWorks. And if you've watched my videos long enough, you'll basically notice that I follow a feature-driven approach. What I do, and this is very simple, is that I look at the main features for the component, and based off of the features, the physical features of the component, I then think about what sort of tools that I'm going to be using. All right. So if you look closely here, we see that we have three flanges. We have this leftmost flange that is circular in nature. We have the top flange that basically can be created using a square, drawing a square on a 2D plane. And we have this oval flange. But we're going to call this oval flange here the intermediate flange because, it lies midway between the two flanges, large flanges that we have here. All right, so I guess the first step, if we're going to actually solve this within SolidWorks, is to work on creating this circular flange. And for that, we're going to have to create or select the front plane and then sketch out a circle using the dimensions shown here. And then use the extrude boss base tool to create the thickness. After that, we're going to move on to creating the elbow SolidWorks component. And what we're going to do is we're going to sketch out an angular profile, a pipe section, and then use the swept boss base tool to create the elbow, following, of course, a predetermined path. In this case, you can see here that the hidden line here shows a elbow path, right? And the elbow has a radius of 18.75 millimeters. After that, we're going to work on creating the top flange using the center rectangle tool and then setting the relation between two sides of this rectangle as equal to creating a perfect square. And then we're going to use the extrude tool to create a thickness. After that, we're going to work on creating the intermediate flange. And if we look at the top view here, we see that we have a 2D sketch for the intermediate flange. Using the circle tool, we're going to create this 2D sketch. And then use the extrude tool, and then we're going to use this extrude tool again to create the connection between the elbow and the intermediate flange here. Finally, if we look at the trimetric view, we see that there's a Python section that is basically protruding from the top of the elbow. All right, so we're going to have to create a new drawing plane. The drawing plane in this case needs to be at a certain distance, right, from a relative plane. And after that, we're going to use the extrude tool to extrude it all the way to the surface, setting the end condition, of course, to up to surface. All right. Finally, we're going to use any of the fillet tools or chamfer tools to create or add the final touches for the components. And that's pretty much it. Of course, after that, we're going to assign a material. In this case, the material is alloy steel. And then finally, when everything's done, we're going to determine the mass of this part in grams. And that pretty much sums up what we're going to do in this exercise. All right, so with that aside, let's get started with exercise number 47. Okay, so let's start by creating a new SolidWorks part. As always, let's set the background to clean white, and let's copy exercise number 47 into SolidWorks. Let's go ahead and make this smaller. Okay, and as I said previously, the first step would be for me to create this leftmost flange, the circular flange. So to start, let's go ahead and select the front plane, sketch, drag this to the side, activate the circle tool, and from the origin, let's go ahead and draw a circle. Now let's activate the Smart Dimension tool, and looking at the side view, we see that the left flange has a diameter of 57.5 millimeters. So the diameter of this circle needs to be 57.5 millimeters. All right, now press the S key, select Extrude Boss Base. We're going to reverse the extrusion direction, and we're going to set the extrusion thickness to 5 millimeters. All right, how do I know that the extrusion thickness needs to be 5? Because if we look at the detail view here showcasing the mounting hole for the left flange, we see detail C has a thickness of 5 millimeters, and this thickness corresponds with the thickness of the flange. And then select OK. All right, now what we need to do is select this space, sketch, activate the circle tool again, and then draw 2 concentric circles starting from the origin, 1 and 2. Activate the circle tool, and these 2 concentric circles need to be the annular section for the elbow section or the pipe section for this component. And if we look, we see that the outer diameter needs to be 25 millimeters and the inner diameter is 20 millimeters. So the diameter of this circle is 25 and the diameter of this circle is 20 millimeters. All right, so now that we have the 2D sketch, let's exit the sketch. And what we need to do now, before we use the Swept Boss Base tool to create the elbow section, is we need to sketch out the path, the extrusion path for the piping section. And to do that, we need to select the right plane, sketch, and then select the line tool. And starting from this point right here, let's draw a horizontal line, and then a vertical line to finish it off. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and we can see here that the horizontal distance or the horizontal component for the line needs to have a distance of 75 millimeters. So this needs to be 75. Whereas the vertical component has an overall height of 50 millimeters, but please take into account that we have a flange here at the top, right? And the piping section doesn't go all the way to the flange. It doesn't go through to the flange, but we need to stop at this surface right here. So it should be, the distance needs to be 50 minus 5, which is 45 millimeters. So the distance here, this edge needs to be 45 millimeters. All right, now select the fillet tool, and here we're going to define the elbow radius. In this case, it's 18.75. All right, so this is 18.75 millimeters. And then click OK. Okay, so now we sketched out the extrusion path for the angular section. So exit sketch, go to features, select Swept Boss Base, and automatically selected the last sketch we created for the sweep path. Now we just need to select the these 2D sketches that we're going to extrude. And so here, just select Sketch 2, right? And we see that we have a preview for the extrusion process. Go ahead and select OK. All right. Now we're going to work on creating this top flange, this top square flange. So very simply, select this top face, sketch, select Convert Entities, and that will wake up the center point for the circle. Activate the Center Rectangle tool, and from this point, draw a rectangle. All right. Click on this line while holding Control. Click on this line as well, and set the relation as equal, converting this rectangle into a perfect square. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and if we look at the top view for this top flange, we see that we have a dimension of 50 millimeters, and this symbol here says that it's a square. So for both sides of this rectangle or the square, it needs to be 50 millimeters. All right, the sketch now is fully defined. Press the S key, select Extrude Boss Base. We're going to extrude this. We also add this section right here. Again, I don't think yet what we need to do. Let me just go to normal again. Let's go ahead and delete this line. Press the S key, Extrude Boss Base. All right, now this is much better. We're going to set the extrusion thickness of 5 millimeters and then select OK. And that creates the top flange. But of course, we have the edges for this top flange are rounded out, right? So you can see here that these edges here have a fillet. How are we going to determine the dimension of the fillet? If we look closely here, we see that the overall length of this edge is 50 millimeters, and the distance between these two mounting holes is 40. So 50 minus 40 is 10. Divided by 2 would give the radius of curvature right here for this fillet. So it's 5 millimeters. So what we need to do now is simply fillet, assign a fillet radius of 5 millimeters, and then go ahead and select these 4 edges. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Wonderful. Now we can see that the 2 flanges, we have the top flange and left flange, are closed off. We need to draw 2 circles here and then basically extrude, cut to create the opening, because of course the piping section is open on both ends. So let's go ahead and start with this left flange. So select this surface, sketch, activate the circle tool, and from the origin, draw a circle. All right. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and we see that the internal diameter should be 20 millimeters. So this needs to be 20 millimeters. Press the S key, extrude cut, set the end condition. If you right click on your mouse, set the end condition as up to next, and that will automatically extrude the 2D sketch all the way to the inner surface of this flange, and then click OK. All right. We're going to perform the same process for this top flange. So go ahead and select this top face, sketch, activate the circle tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a circle. Set the relation between the center of this circle and the origin as vertical by pressing the V on your keyboard. And what we're going to do again is set the relation between this point and the center of the circle as horizontal. All right, that will directly position the center of the circle in the dead center of this square here. Now activate the Smart Dimension tool and assign a diameter of 20 millimeters. Again, this is the inner diameter of the pipe. Press the S key, extrude cut. Again, the end condition is already set to up to next. Then press OK. And that opens up the pipe on both ends. You have the top end and you have the left end. All right? So far, so good. Now what we need to work on is we need to create this protruding circular pipe section that, is basically protruding from the top section of the elbow. So what we need to do is very simply create a new drawing plane, because what we're going to do is we're going to create a new drawing plane, create a circular profile, and then extrude all the way to the curved surface. So for reference geometry, select plane. The reference here, if we look at the standard drawing planes that we have within SolidWorks, we're going to go ahead and select the front plane, which you automatically just select the surface right here. All right. Reverse the direction, the offset direction, flip offset. And how far away this drawing plane needs to be relative to this edge, this leftmost edge. If we look closely, we have an overall distance of 75 millimeters, all right, plus 35. We can see that the distance, this edge, all the way to the center of the circle is 35. So 75 plus 35 millimeters. And that will give us the overall offset distance, which should be 110 millimeters. And then click OK. All right, so now just right click on this drawing plane, sketch. Let's go ahead and enlarge this right here. And what we need to do, normal again, drag this to the side, drag the sketch. All right, so what we need to do now is activate the circle tool, draw a circle right here, set the relation between the center of this circle and the origin as vertical by pressing the V on your keyboard. And activate the Smart Dimension tool. We see that the outside diameter of this pet section right here should be 20 millimeters. And we're only going to create the outside diameter, the outside profile, and then click 20. That's the outside diameter. All right, so we see the distance between the center of the circle and the top face, the top flange right here, should be 17.5. So the distance between this top edge and the center of the circle should be 17.5. Now the sketch is fully defined. Press S on your keyboard, extrude boss base, right click on your mouse, and set the end condition as up to surface. Which surface? You need to click on this surface right here. All right, and then click OK. Right click on the plane, hide, and that creates the protruding cylinder section. But of course, it's a pipe section, so we do need to open up this cylinder. So click on this surface, sketch, activate the circle tool, and from the center of the circle, draw another circle. Activate the Smart Dimension tool. The inner diameter right here should be 15 millimeters. So this needs to be 15. Press the S key, extrude cut, right click up to next and click OK. And that creates the opening for this pipe section right here. All right, so what else do we have? So far, the final solid is starting to take form. We have one more flange we need to create. That is the intermediate flange right here, the oval shaped flange. So we need to create a new drawing plane actually. A new drawing plane relative to the top plane. So what we need to do is go to reference geometry, plane, and we need to select the top plane, which by the way divides the pipe section right here in two. All right. And the top plane, new drawing plane, needs to be 29 millimeters away from this center line. So go ahead and assign a offset distance of 29 millimeters. All right. And then click OK. Right click on the new drawing plane, sketch, activate the circle tool. And what we're going to do very simply is we're going to sketch out the 2D sketch for this oval flange right here. All right. So starting from this point, let's draw a larger circle. In addition, of course, we're going to draw another circle here to the side. Activate the circle tool. The larger circle should have a radius of 12.5 millimeters, which is a diameter of 25 millimeters. So this needs to be 25. The smaller circle right here, if you look closely, has a radius of 5 millimeters. So here we need to assign a diameter of 10 millimeters. The distance between the two circles, overall, of course, here is 35, so it should be 35 divided by 2. So distance between this point and this point is 35 divided by 2, which is 17.5. All right, so now we just need to activate the line tool and then connect these two circles using a tangent line. All right, line tool again. Connect with these two circles. Set the relation between this point and the origin as vertical by pressing V on your keyboard. And we can see here that the distance between the leftmost edge of the left flange and the center of this circle should be 25 millimeters. So activate the Smart Dimension tool, and the distance between this point and this edge should be 25 millimeters. All right. So the relation between these two points as horizontal, sorry. And now the sketch is board defined. Now, of course, we need to mirror this to the other side. So let's go ahead and activate the center line tool. Let's go ahead and draw a center line. And let's go ahead and select these two entities, these two tangent lines, in addition to this line and this center line. And then select mirror entities. And that will automatically mirror the entities you created to the other side. Activate the trim tool and then delete any extra entities that we don't need. All right. Okay, so that leaves behind the 2D sketch. So now press the S key, extrude boss base, and we set the end condition as blind. So now the question is, we need to reverse the extrusion direction all the way to the bottom because, of course, we created this drawing plane at a distance of 29 millimeters. And now we need to assign extrusion a depth of 5 millimeters right here. And then click OK. All right, right click on the drawing plane, hide. And now we very simply we need to connect this intermediate flange all the way to this curved surface. So what we need to do is just select this bottom surface, sketch, activate the circle tool. And starting from this center right here, if we just move this to the side, we're going to draw a circle from this point. All right. Activate the Smart Dimension tool. And if we look closely, we see that the outside diameter for this pipe section should be 20 millimeters. So this needs to be 20 millimeters. And then click, or actually press the S key, extrude boss base, set the end condition as up to surface, and we're going to select this surface right here. All right. And then click OK. Are we done yet? No, we're not done yet. We have to open up this intermediate flange. So select this top face, sketch, activate the circle tool, and starting from the dead center of this larger circle right here, we're going to draw a circle. Activate the Smart Dimension tool. Looking at the section view, we see that the opening here should be 15 millimeters. So this needs to have a diameter of 15 millimeters. Press the S key, extrude cut. Right click on your mouse, but you'll need, of course, the end condition is already set to up to next, and then click OK. All right. So now, yeah, the main body for this exercise now is complete, but of course there are some details that we need to add. We have the mounting holes for the flange, for the leftmost flange. We have the intermediate flange also for the square flange. So now we're just basically going to be creating the mounting holes. So let's work on creating this mounting holes for this flange here. So go ahead and select the surface, sketch, activate the circle tool, and starting from this point, draw a circle. Convert the circle to a construction geometry by pressing Q. Activate the Smart Dimension tool. Of course, this circle will serve as a pitch circle, helping us to determine the locations of the mounting hole. All right, so if we look closely at the side view, we see that the pitch circle should have a diameter of 47.5 millimeters. This needs to be 47.5 millimeters. All right, now activate the circle tool again. And starting from this point, we see that here, we're going to draw a circle. All right, activate the Smart Dimension tool, and the mounting hole, if we look at detail number C, should have a diameter of 5 millimeters. So this needs to be 5 millimeters. Now go to Linear Sketch Pattern, and then go ahead and click on the drop-down menu, and then select Circular Sketch Pattern. For the entities to pattern, click on the circle, set the number of copies. We look closely, and we have 6 in total. So we set this to 6. All right, and then click OK. Now we have 6 copies of these circular profiles representing the mounting holes. Press the S key, extrude cut. It's already set to up to next, and then click OK. And that creates the mounting hole for the leftmost flange. Let's go ahead and create the mounting hole for the intermediate flange. So let's go ahead and select this surface, sketch, activate the circle tool. Starting from this point right here, we're going to draw the circle, activate the Smart Dimension tool. And we see here that the diameter for the hole should be 5 millimeters. So this should be 5 millimeters. Let's draw a center line. Starting from this hole right here, draw a vertical center line. That's mirror entities. There's a mirror this entity about this vertical line. Click OK. S key, extrude cut. It's already set to up to next. Click OK. All right, that creates the mounting hole for the intermediate flange. Now we're going to create the mounting holes for this top flange right here. Sketch, activate circle tool. Just wake up the center, this point right here. Draw 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we look at the top view, we see that the distance between the two circles should be 40 millimeters. Of course, by default, it's already set to 40. If you look very closely, the distance between this point and this point is 40. All right. So now we just need to assign the diameter of these mounting holes, which is 5 millimeters. But before that, to save time, let's go ahead and select all of these circles and set the relation as equal. Okay. Activate the circle tool, assign the dimension of only one of these holes as 5 millimeters, and that will automatically change the rest of the diameters for the rest of the circles here. Press the S key, extrude cut. It's already set to up to next. Click OK. All right. And that basically completes the modeling process. Now we just have some minor details that we need to create. For example, we have these certain fillets that we need to fill out. So let's go ahead and select the fillet radius here in the fillet tool. And if we look closely here, there are certain fillets that are not assigned, right? For example, the fillet between the left flange and the elbow here should be, if we look closely at the comment section right here in the notes, it says here, unless stated otherwise, all fillets and chamfers have a dimension of 1.5 millimeters and 1 millimeter 45 degrees respectively. So the fillet radius needs to be 1.5 millimeters. All right. So how many fillets do we need? We actually have a fillet for this edge, and the edge right here at the top. If we look closely at section view, there's actually a curve here. So let's go ahead and select these edges. You have 1, 2, and 3. These are 3 fillets. Actually, we need to delete edge 2 right here. We don't have a fillet. Clear selection. Let's start from the beginning. You have this edge. You have this edge, and you have this bottom edge right here. All right. Also, if we look closely, there's a fillet right here between the protruding piping section and the top of the elbow. So let's go ahead and assign a fillet radius right here for this edge. And then click OK. All right. So that completes, I think, the filling process using any fillets. Of course, now we just have one more thing we need to do with our chamfers, right? And if we look closely here, we see that the chamfers have a dimension of 1 millimeter by 45. So we need to use the distance angle convention. All right. And look closely here. We see for detail B and C, in this case, the fillet holes for the leftmost flange. And for the top flange here, they have a chamfer of 0.7 by 45 degrees. So let's go ahead and assign the chamfers for the mounting holes. So let's go ahead and select chamfer. Set this chamfer dimension as 0.7 millimeters. Now just select these edges right here for the mounting holes. And we have a chamfer here at the top for these top mounting holes as well. All right, and we also have a chamfer for these holes right here. For all mounting holes, the chamfers are 0.7 by 45 degrees. Click OK. All right. Are we done yet? Are there any more chamfers we need to assign? Yes, we have a chamfer for this outer rim right here and the rim here as well, top. And yeah, also the rims for this protruding cylinder right here. But of course, it's unassigned, so we need to assign a chamfer of 1 millimeter by 45. So select a chamfer, assign a distance of 1 millimeters, and let's go ahead and select this edge, this edge, this edge, and finally this edge right here. All right, and then click OK. And that completes the modeling process. So now we need to assign a material. So go ahead and right click here, edit material, apply a material of alloy steel, apply those. Let's delete this image. And now for the moment of truth, we do determine the mass of this part. So go ahead and select or press on evaluate, go to the evaluate tab, select mass properties, and your final answer is 363.16 grams. 363.16 grams. That is our final answer. 363.16 grams. Okay, so that concludes exercise number 47. I hope you all enjoy this video. If you haven't liked or subscribed to the channel, I strongly urge you to subscribe to the channel. It will really help me support the channel. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. Until we meet again, I'll see you all in exercise number 48. Bye-bye.